All right, well, speaking of Oklahoma State, 7.5 point favorite. Speaking of 7.5 point spreads, number 16 Cowboys hosting Arkansas. The over/under I have for this one, 4.5 yards per carry for Ollie Gordon second. That's what he had in the opener. Slow start for Oklahoma State in that one. Predictably slow start, I think. They're always just kind of prone to that for whatever reason. But it was an 11-point game midway through the third quarter against a South Dakota State team, which, look, I don't know, drink if you've heard this before, but don't schedule good FCS teams in your season opener. It's not a particularly fun experience, trust me. The efficiency is everything when it comes to defending Ollie Gordon the second. It's much easier said than done, but you're not going to take him out of a game like Texas was able to do in that Big 12 championship. I don't think that's necessarily a realistic expectation for Arkansas because the volume is just, is going to be there. That's just the way that they build their offense. But I think in it was 3 of 4 losses that Oklahoma State suffered last year, Gordon did not hit 4.5 yards per carry. And the only time that they lost and he exceeded that was the Iowa State game, which was the first game where he was given the opportunity to be the feature back. And it was still very new because Gundy decided for whatever reason, you know what, let's have Alan Bowman throw the ball 48 times while Oklahoma State runs the ball 24 times. Didn't exactly follow that plan moving forward, and they were obviously better for it. That won't be happening on Saturday against Arkansas. Gordon just got fed the rock 28 times against an FCS team. And while it wasn't the 50 that Gundy promised us for Gordon's DUI punishment, it was still 28 carries against an FCS team. They are going to run him. If they run him 30 to 35 times against Arkansas, it will not surprise me. You do not arm tackle him, and he will lean on you. This offensive line will lean on you. That is what they do well. If you're going to try and contain him, not stop him, but contain him, you load the box, you play gap discipline football, you do all those cliche things that defensive-minded coaches talk about, and you say, you know what, we're going to make this 15th-year quarterback, Alan Bowman, try and beat us. That's the formula, if there ever is one. Plenty of teams have said it. Very few have been able to execute it. The good news, Arkansas currently leading the nation in yards per carry allowed. That's good. The bad news, holding Arkansas Pine Bluff to 7 yards on 23 carries, probably, and by probably, I mean definitely, a different task than containing the best running back in college football. Just a little bit, tiny bit different. Huge game, not just for Sam Pittman, but really for the emerging Travis Williams, who is a name to kind of keep in mind in coaching circles. I ultimately think in this one, it's going to be too much Ollie Gordon. I think Taylen Green has some moments in this one. He's going to be able to make some plays against that Oklahoma State secondary, which is their biggest weakness. But I don't think the Hogs hang for 4 quarters. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State to win big, 45-24.
Man, I was going to say, how did it take you that long to get to our boy Taylen Green, man? He was balling week 1.
He looked great. And I love the idea of Taylen Green being worth the price of admission when KJ was not last year. And I'm the biggest KJ fan that I think that there is outside of his genetic DNA, maybe outside of Gus for saying that he has similar physical traits to Cam Newton. We don't need to talk about that anymore. Taylen Green was so fun in that opener. And if you just tell me that's what he's going to do against inferior competition, watch Arkansas play and love yourself some Taylen Green. I don't know how inferior this competition will be, though.
Yeah, I'm so fascinated, by this. That was like one of the things I had talked to one of my boys in Vegas about. Just like, is there anything that you're like, bullish on from like a gambling perspective or whatever? Since you know the SEC, I was like, honestly, man, Arkansas's offense, and I know again it's an inferior opponent, but dude, Arkansas is going to be talent-wise an inferior opponent to most of the teams on their schedule. Honestly, kind of including Oklahoma State, and so
Whoa. Their schedule in SEC play is good, really, really good. That difficult. I don't know that there's going to be a ton of those matchups where.
No, that's what I'm saying. I said Arkansas is going to be the less talented team.
Okay.
All of their matchups, including Oklahoma State. Like Oklahoma State has a better roster than Arkansas.
I got you.
So my thing there is that, like, look, watching him physically play, and I know it's like a little bit different watching Boise, and like I got to see the guy in a jersey to like see what I think about him, which is the most boomer thing. But like, man, the way that guy moves, like the way that you felt seeing Yamaliava the first time, he's 6'6", man. And like watching
glides.
Dude, glides. Like that's why I don't like comparing players sometimes to other players, because when have we seen this exact thing? I've seen some 6'6" guys, I've seen some Finley. I ain't seen some 6'6" guys that can move like that outside of a basketball court, which is why I always, I want to keep bringing up the conversation you had with him. I went, oh my gosh, this is a basketball athlete. This is very rare. We've seen basketball athletes play tight end, play quarterback, or play wide receiver, not really quarterback. And the fluidity he moves with, the amount of confidence and poise he has, I'm very, very interested by him. I think Arkansas is going to at least cover the spread. I think it's probably going to be a 3-point win for Oklahoma State, but I could see Arkansas pulling this one off just based on that, right? Because the quarterback matchup right now, weird as it sounds, I would kind of rather have Taylor Green, because I know he can do at least one thing right.
Oh, yeah.
2, run and be tall. So like QB sneaks all day.
Yeah, look, I don't know that he's running away from defenses the way that he did in that game, where he took a deep drop back and was on the right side of the field against Arkansas Pine Bluff, scattered to the right sideline, and decided, I need to cut this all the way left, and was able to turn the corner and get into the end zone. Zero, and I'm including Vandy, zero teams in the SEC, maybe even at the Core 4 level, are probably letting him do that. And if they do, I will mention it, because it was ridiculous what he did in that sequence when he, like you said, like gliding. Okay. So I'm not trying to minimize that, because it was noteworthy. It was awesome. But I'm curious what it's going to look like if he runs into a team that is able to contain that mobility on the outside. And if he's got to put that trust in these receivers, which he's got some big body dudes. And that could be the game plan moving forward for a lot of teams, not just against Oklahoma State, is, look, you're going to have to be able to trust these guys on the outside. Trust them to go up and make a play for you. They've kind of built the roster that way. And against this Oklahoma State secondary that just got punched in the mouth last year, they were not good. That was their biggest weakness. I am curious if that's going to be the game plan for a certain Robert Patrick Petrino, who needs to be wearing sunglasses every game, day or night, as he was wearing in the opener. That was a positive development with him on the sideline. But I'm worried about what this is going to look like for the Arkansas defense against a guy that you're going to look up and be like, oh my God, Alec Gordon's got 120 yards. I didn't really think he did that much, but he just quietly just kind of eats and eats and eats at you.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely the other part of it too. And then one thing too, to your point about Bobby Petrino, that is a man on a mission. He is either going to flame out again, but that's the crazy thing about him. He's already flamed out so many times, it kind of doesn't matter. He's now fully sending it. And that's what's so beautiful about the relationship. Like I said, he's a man on a mission. He's looking for revenge. I think that the way that Green is, and he's so chill, actually is like the best quarterback fit for him maybe ever, because he's not going to take any of that stuff personally. And I am truly fascinated by how this offense is going to play, because again, I don't even know really. Usually Arkansas has a couple of receivers, like their tight end's pretty good this year. Haas is their tight end, right?
Luke Haas. They mispronounced it on the broadcast, friend of the program. Luke Haas. Everybody, just pretend that the Z doesn't exist. Just Haas.
Yeah, so like he's good towards LSU, right? But like point being, like they don't have a ton of targets, to your point. But I'm just fascinated by how Bobby Petrino, it's like he knows he wants to get here of I want to score 50 points a game, and he knows he has these pieces, and I'm so fascinated to see how he's going to get there.
Counterpoint. The late Ryan Mallett and Bobby Petrino kind of infamously hated each other.
Yeah, they did.
And they made sweet magic together. So I don't know that you need the best of vibes all the time. I don't know if Bobby Petrino has a whole lot of best friends in his life. It's kind of just, who does he hate the most? It worked down. So if he and Taylor Green are boys, then that's all the better. But who knows? Maybe they'll have some good moments in this one.